world surrounded by franchises, reboots, and shared universes. An elite team of podcasters will risk body and soul to investigate the depths of intellectual properties, one multiverse, subgenre, and trend at a time. Who are we? We're the IP Squad.
Welcome back to the IP Squad and our ongoing investigation into films based on the King Arthur legend. I'm John Campbell, of course, my partner for this investigation, Kinsey Campbell.
Hello.
Kinsey, this one's been kind of a long time coming. I would say this is from what I gather of at least like film nerds and stuff, kind of the fan favorite this week.
It did come up a lot in the other episodes.
Yeah.
It was like, oh, when we get to Excalibur.
Yes, and that is exactly. We're talking about 1981's Excalibur from co-writer and director John Boorman. I don't think you've ever seen a film by John Boorman before.
I don't think so.
No, I'm looking at his movies. I don't believe
the name isn't familiar to me.
He's definitely a filmmaker I like quite a bit. He made a lot of never mind. You did see his strangest effort, which is 1974's Zardoz.
Oh, okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's one of the weirdest movies I've ever seen.
Yeah.
That is
I forgot that was
bananas.
That was a Boorman picture. Yeah.
That is something to be seen.
It is a wild movie. Yeah, no question.
It is. Nothing can prepare you for Zardoz.
Yeah. He did direct a movie with Pierce Brosnan called The Tailor of Panama that I don't believe you've seen, which is a John le Carré.
I've never heard of that movie.
It's an adaptation of a John le Carré. It's Pierce Brosnan and Jeffrey Rush. It's good.
Oh, okay. I mean, that's good cast.
Yeah. Anyway, we're talking about Excalibur, which is a long-time passion project of Boorman's. He first wrote the script in 1969.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So this took a while for him to...
Well, his original script was pitched as a 3-hour epic and was deemed far too expensive for anyone to make.
Yeah.
I find this funny though that he took it to a studio and they said, "This is way too expensive. This would be way too expensive to make. Would you like to adapt Lord of the Rings instead?" You're like, "Oh yeah, because that would be cheap."
Well, I was like, how in the world is that cheaper?
Yeah.
Than this?
Mm-hmm.
There's no way.
Yeah, and actually, a lot of his designs and
what are we doing?
A lot of his designs and pre-production work for his Lord of the Rings movie ended up in this movie.
That makes sense. There's definitely sequences in this that have a little bit of a Lord of the Rings vibe.
So he ended up but I mean, the big thing that ended up happening, so this is, as it says in the credits, an adaptation primarily of La Morte d'Arthur by Mallory. Mm-hmm. But that is what comes up. The big thing that Boorman and his co-writer Rospo Pallenberg, their big thing was they really wanted to streamline this. They really wanted to cut out all the excess stuff in the Arthurian legend and put it on rails into a singular, beginning, middle, and end story.
Okay, I mean that is what you get.
Yeah, I think one of the reasons I and a lot of other people like this movie.
Full steam ahead.
I think one of the reasons this movie's so popular with myself and other people, especially filmmakers, Zack Snyder, who mentions it near constantly, it is
that doesn't surprise me at all.
He brings this movie up all the time. I think
that makes sense.
Yeah, but is that it is, of the ones we've watched, the most modern, I feel like, in terms of it is trying to be, an action movie of sorts, right? It is trying to be like, what's the word I'm looking for? Like exhilarating. It is trying to be intense in some way.
It does. I mean, it easily has the most action and the most stuff going on, because so many of the movies that we have watched have gotten very locked in on the Lancelot, Guinevere, Arthur love triangle.
What?
And they've really gone full force at that, or just focused on Lancelot.
Yeah.
And this has way more going on than that. That is an aspect of it, but there's so much more happening.
Well, I think one of the interesting things about this movie is, for as streamlined as it also broadens the scope quite a bit, which I think adds to some of that propulsion, though, is that it doesn't get lost in those scenes that you're talking about. Instead, it can cut over here to Merlin and Morgana, and it can cut to this section, and you can go to Percival, who the movie kind of, we were talking about this, I'm like, is Merlin the main character of this movie? Kind of, but then he dips out for a while. At a certain point, Percival becomes the protagonist. The movie really is painting this,
a lot of Percival.
It's a real grand, epic sort of, his whole point in this is that it's this like grand tragedy. I've got a Boorman thing here where he talks about wanting the movie. Let's see, where is this here? I have a lot of stuff. This is one where there is actually a lot of info about the movie because it's a famous and well-regarded film. But he talks about like he wanted this to be this like birth to death to rebirth sort of story, like where it's almost just like things start before the birth of Arthur and continue past the death of Arthur, and it's this grand tapestry that's woven of this story.
I mean, he does get into that because we start with Uther, which is not something
you were
we have done in any of these other movies.
You were asking if we've seen Uther in a movie. I don't know if we've seen it. If we have, though, not certainly not the extent of this movie, where this is a real like everything is kicked off by, it's a real like sins of the father kind of story, right? Like because all of Morgana's whole thing, both our hero and villain are launched from Uther's actions. I mean, literally, Arthur is the literal biological product of Uther's actions.
Yeah, I mean, Uther is a real bastard at the beginning of this movie.
Played by the great Gabriel Byrne, who I've always been a massive fan of Gabriel Byrne's.
And I mean, he's great in it, but like Uther is a mess and very self-centered and getting people in danger because of his wants and needs, and just awful to people.
He really is, because the movie opens with him in conflict with the Duke of Cornwall.
I was not expecting this movie to just kick off with action, because I'm so used to like, maybe we'll get some of that.
I mean, that part of that is Boorman, I wouldn't say exclusively, but Boorman was an action director. My favorite Boorman movie is a movie called Point Blank, which is just a rocket of a movie that is, it's based on one of my favorite novels, The Hunter by Richard Stark. And that movie is so laser focused and intense. And then he also made Deliverance, which is, a nasty piece of business.
That is what I've heard.
Yeah, that is a that is an experience, that movie, for sure. But much like this, is very frank in its violence and in the consequences thereof of that violence. So I mean, he is bringing a lot of his aesthetic as a filmmaker. He was an intense dude. Actually, I say was. He's actually still alive.
Movie.
He's 92. John Boorman's still with us.
Oh wow!
Yeah,
that's impressive.
From Shepperton, Middlesex, England, John Boorman.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. But yeah, he definitely brings. There's another thing he does in this movie that we really haven't seen is he really goes at making medieval times dark and grimy and bloody. You know, it
There's
doesn't.
a lot of mud.
There's no pageant. There's
We're
no
out
real.
in the mud.
I mean, there's some pageantry in this movie, but it's like purposely implemented. Like when you meet Lancelot, he is in this shining armor that nobody else is in, right? It's there's stuff like that, but most of this world is grimy and ugly.
Yeah, it's people living out in the mud. It's fights, but they're rough, and it's guys wailing on each other, and their armor is covered in blood.
It doesn't
it's definitely a much darker view of these times.
It doesn't have the action, as you talk about, that it does have is much more of what, at least what we know of probably what these guys with broadswords are fighting like, which is these huge heavy swords. So you're just bashing into guys. It's not pretty well choreographed stage combat. It's ugly murder.
Yeah, it's very chaotic.
Yeah, the other thing too is it doesn't feel choreographed. It does feel like guys just bashing into each other in these metal suits.
Yeah.
There's an ugliness to it.
As I said, like, these are clearly like actual like metal armor that these actors are in, because I just thought, man, that would be miserable to be in this very heavy armor, and you're getting on horses and you have to get water in them.
I think it's interesting.
I'm just like, ugh.
Bob Ringwood was the costume designer, but then they separately had an armor designer on this movie named Terry English. So there was a guy specifically just focused on making the armor, and all the armor feels heavy in a way that I don't think we've seen.
In a way that nothing else we've watched has really looked like, okay, no, they're actually wearing armor.
Yeah, and they're in the water and mud, and it's all very...
Oh, it just seems awful.
Yeah. Looks like they shot a lot of this movie in Ireland. Because they kind of just went to wherever the most preserved castles they could find were.
Yeah, I mean, it's beautiful where they are, the forests.
Yeah.
And the castles. It's a gorgeous setting.
Yeah, they shot all over. Looks like they shot all over Ireland, and even in sound stages in Ireland. So.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I know it can be hard sometimes to find intact castles.
Right. They talked about they shot at let's see, they were filmed. A lot of the stuff was filmed at Cahir Castle in Cahir County, Tipperary in Ireland, which is a well-preserved Irish castle.
Okay.
I would like to see that. I would be the guy. I would be the guy who would go to Ireland and be like, "It's the castle from Excalibur."
Yeah, you'd want to go to all the Excalibur shooting locations. Take my picture.
Yeah, I mean, I bet there's a lot, not just Excalibur, but there's probably a lot of medieval stuff that's shot in and around that area, I'm guessing.
Oh, there must be. There must be like a tour you can go on of the filming locations of Ireland.
Yeah. So apparently they did shoot the 3-hour version of the film, and Boorman cut it down to the 2-hour, 21-minute movie that we saw. But the original cut of the movie was 3 hours. I don't get the sense that
would be pretty long.
I don't get the sense he's like heartbroken by it. I mean, like, it doesn't seem like it was like there's no comments that Boorman's like they stole the movie from me or anything.
Well, because when you're watching it, you don't feel like, oh wow, this is really missing 40 minutes.
Yeah.
Or like, sometimes you watch stuff and you're like, I don't know what's going on. And then you hear that and you're like, okay, that makes sense.
Yeah, they talk about there was the only thing that's noted here is missing. There was a scene where Lancelot rescued Guinevere from a forest bandit, and I guess that scene's in the trailer, or some of that scene's in the trailer.
Okay.
And so that's why people are like, hey, where's that?
People still do that, so.
Yeah. He also purposely cast Helen Mirren and Nicole Williamson, knowing that they had issues with each other, apparently stemming from a production of Macbeth that had gone poorly. And he said, I want to use that tension on film.
I did not know that these two had problems in real life.
Apparently they had, yeah.
That's an interesting behind the scenes fact.
Apparently he talks about this on the commentary track.
Oh wow! So he was like, maybe they'll yell at each other for real.
That was sort of it. We cast, and they were like, I don't know, those two don't like each other. Good. That'll be good.
I want that.
Yeah.
I mean, they do. Yeah, they do have a lot of tension in the movie. They do not get along.
No, not at all. Let's talk for a second
interesting.
about Nicole Williamson's Merlin, because I would say this is radically different from any Merlin we've seen in any of the films we've done so far.
This is, yeah, one of the most active Merlins we've seen.
Befitting the kind of action
he's
movie that we're looking
doing a
at, this
lot.
is an action Merlin, right?
Yeah, I mean, he's like in the middle of battle sequences giving advice. He's not fighting, but he's there to be like, they will, Arthur and Uther will like call on him for like, what should I do?
Mm-hmm. And I mean, yeah, but
Or
he's a
you
war
told
council.
me I would get the sword.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's a man of, I mean, like, because one of the things that this movie does is this has like a grounded, gritty look to it. It doesn't strip the magic out, but once again, it's not it's like not in awe of it.
No, it's not like what Sword of the Stone, where
Right.
it's like funny and whimsical, the magic.
It's actually
dark.
it's interesting. I think it kind of
like don't mess with it.
Yeah, I think it is kind of closer, interestingly, if this started as a Lord of the Rings movie, to like the way Jackson portrays magic in the Lord of the Rings movies. Like Gandalf, I feel like the way Merlin uses magic here is similar to how Gandalf uses magic in the Lord of the Rings movies. It's not like he makes spells
similar.
and stuff like that. It's like he can, the cool prop of him with the staff that shoots a flame, a jet of flame out of it and stuff like that.
He does have a very cool staff.
Yeah, and I've never seen him. I've never seen a movie where he doesn't, but Nicole Williamson just attacks this part.
Yeah,
he's all.
It's a very dramatic Merlin.
Yeah, and he's got a cool metal helmet.
He doesn't always have a helmet on. I mean, which makes sense. I guess he's going into battle sequences. He, wants to protect his head.
But it's like a shiny chrome that's it's close to his skull. It's not like the knight helmets.
It's tight.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's tight on his head.
Yeah.
He's got long, drapey robes.
Mm-hmm. He's not. Once again, he's not.
Yeah.
He doesn't read as wizard.
No.
In the traditional sense.
He doesn't read as that. He doesn't have the like long white beard or the long white hair that we've seen in a lot of other Merlins, where and he's not as silly. He's not as like goofy.
No,
as we've seen Merlin be.
I mean, there is no humor in this movie. This is not whimsical or fun. This is deadly serious medieval war movie.
Yeah, it's dark, it's intense.
And it's got this like
not like, oh, look at it's not even, it doesn't even like the romance stuff is also still like dark and kind of scary.
Because everything is like kind of lusty as opposed to like grandly romantic. Everyone is into each other, but in this like, I don't know. I mean, there
isn't the melodrama that we've seen
right
with the romances in the past.
It's not that Lancelot and Guinevere necessarily fall in love with each other as much as they are hot for each other in a way that feels I mean, you get this betrayal, and same thing. But we also talk about this is one of the first times that we've really seen Guinevere be attracted to Arthur initially. Usually, it's sort of the take is always she had to marry Arthur, and then when she sees Lancelot, she's like, oh, but that's who I love,
Yeah, I think besides Camelot, this is the only time we've seen Guinevere have a relationship with Arthur before Lancelot even enters the picture.
Now, an interesting decision in this movie is to have Nigel Terry, who plays Arthur, who was 35 when they shot this movie. And
Okay, that makes sense.
But he plays him from. Do they say the exact? Let's see. Do they say exactly? They just say him from teenage years to aged monarch.
I will say that did confuse me when we first see him as Arthur, was because they keep saying like, oh, he's the boy king, and but I'm like, he looks like an adult man, and
he was
so
35.
I could not figure out like how old do you want me to think he is?
He's supposed to be vaguely
you keep saying
teenage.
boy king, but I'm seeing an adult.
Yeah, he's supposed to be vaguely teenaged, and they do give him like, all right, then he has a beard, and then he has the gray hair. You know, they do a little bit, but it is, you do in the early scenes. I think Nigel Terry is just fine in the movie, but in the early scenes, you do get that sense of like, I'm an adult playing a teenage boy, and you're like, yeah, okay, yeah.
Yeah, that was only him being, middle-aged, older. That's fine. That it was the like teenage part that was confusing and just didn't make any sense, because it's like, I have absolutely no idea how old this person is supposed to be.
Now, something that I think is interesting is the accent he uses is considered a West Country accent, which is because we as Americans are like, oh, there are British accents, but there are tons of regional accents within England. But he chose this accent because in mythology sense, Arthur's from Cornwall. And so he went and tried to find what a Cornwall accent would sound like. So he is trying to approximate as best he can what quote-unquote real Arthur would sound like.
Okay. I will be honest, I do not know off the top of my head what a Cornwall accent sounds like.
Because he does have a very specific voice in the movie that is not the
he has a very specific voice.
hero Arthur voice,
No, when he first comes on screen, I was like, are they dubbing him? Or is he like, did he have to ADR his lines?
I mean, I think
it sounded...
I think there is a lot of ADR in this movie, yes. Just because of the nature.
Yeah, it was just like, something seems off. It didn't later on in the movie. It was just sort of like the opening sequence with him where I was like, something seems off.
I think a lot of the, they had to dub a lot of the outdoor
But I mean, they
stuff.
were they were outside in a forest, so that's obviously could have happened. But yeah, I don't know a Cornwall accent, so
yeah.
If you're from Cornwall, I guess you could tell us if he got it right or not.
Yeah. It's interesting, but I mean that's a level of
That's quite the research he did. That to try and figure out what would Arthur sound like.
And I think, like I said, struck people as like, really, what is that? Because I don't think we hear that accent a lot in America, or
I don't think so, because like the accent he was using, it did sound different.
Mm-hmm.
So. He was doing his research.
Yes. So, as we talked about, this is this all stems from Uther, and it really is the story. It's called Excalibur for a reason, right? I mean, I think I feel like Boorman might even tell you that the main character is the sword Excalibur.
The sword is.
It's all about control.
We've seen from the Stone. It is so much about that sword and who gets the sword and why do they get the sword and what it means to have the sword.
Well, and this whole idea that at the beginning of the movie, right, Uther is so hot for the Duke of Cornwall's wife, right?
Yeah.
Well,
and he's also very angry at Merlin. Like, you promised me that sword. I deserve that sword. Give me that sword.
Yeah, because Merlin is like, hey man, I think I think I see you being the king and stuff like that. And then the whole beginning of the movie is basically him being like, oh man, I chose the wrong guy. This guy stinks.
Yeah, Uther's a lot. I think I mentioned in the past, I'm a big fan of the TV show Merlin.
Yep.
And so my primary knowledge of Uther comes from, one of my all-time favorite actors,
Tony
Anthony Head or Anthony Stewart Head.
Yeah.
as he was on Buffy, playing Uther, and had that same attitude of just, he's kind of the worst. And just causes trouble and doesn't think about anybody else. And so when I saw this, I was like, yep, that's the Uther I know.
Yeah.
Of just so arrogant and just demanding things of, give it to me, I want it.
I mean, and that's the thing
It's
about it
just,
is, like, he's like, look, I want, because he sees, I mean, when they sort of make peace, or at least some sort of break in the fighting, the Duke of Cornwall's like, check out my smoke show of a wife. Look at her dance.
It is a very weird scene of them having this dinner and this guy just being like, hey, wife, dance for everyone now.
Yeah. By the way, here's the weirdest thing
so
about
weird.
that. You ready for the weirdest thing about that?
No.
What?
What is it gonna be?
The woman playing the wife is John Boorman's daughter.
Oh, his daughter?
Yeah, that's his daughter.
Oh, that's so weird. Oh, that makes everything about her storyline so much weirder.
Yeah, that was his
I don't
daughter.
like that. I don't like that at all. Ooh, that's a weird part to have your daughter play.
Yeah. Katrine Boorman was
must have been
Igraine.
There must have been some strange scenes that he had to direct with his daughter in this movie.
This is not
because
this is not the only noted filmmaker I've seen deal with stuff like this, though. Cast their daughter in some weird stuff.
Sequence. I mean, there's like a full dance number.
And so he is just like, guys. Merlin, I don't care what it takes. I want to get with that woman. And he basically, Merlin's like, look, I can make that happen, but like it's going to come at the cost of something.
Yeah, and even his knights are like, hey, what about the treaty? Like, please don't screw this up for us. And no, that ain't going to happen because Uther wants a lady. And so he goes about it in a real gross way.
He makes himself, or he has Merlin make him appear to be the Duke of Cornwall so he can have sex with the guy's wife. Little does he know that the Duke's daughter, Morgana, has magic abilities of her own and senses her father's own death. And that...
Yeah, her dad dies in a kind of an embarrassing way. It's not the best way.
Yeah, he falls off his horse onto some swords.
Yeah, that's just not the heroic death you would want.
It's not.
But she's like, Mom, like, Dad's dead. Like, he has died. I know it. And the mom's like, no, he's not. Because, like, look, he just came into our room. He's right here.
But she's the one who sees through this. And that's sort of this moment right here. And then subsequently, this incident gives birth to Arthur, who, Uther is only too happy to just give to Merlin for power's sake.
Yeah, I mean, just takes Arthur right out of her hands and like, yep, he's Merlin's now.
So,
and she understandably is like, you did what now?
Yeah, I mean, Morgana has
my kid to a wizard.
Like, Morgana has a point, right? Like, she witnessed this guy, essentially rape her mother and then just throw away the child that came of that, much to the protests of her mother.
I think Morgana's one of those characters where it's like she has valid points to make. How she goes about solving things maybe isn't the best way to solve things, but she definitely has a reason to be pissed.
Yeah.
I mean, Uther really did a number on her life and her mom's life.
Oh, for sure. I mean, he comes in.
Yeah, I get it. I get why she's mad.
And then subsequently he dies. And ends up putting the sword in the stone that sets in motion. But I mean, yeah, this is all the first 20 minutes of the movie that starts well before anything. I mean, we talked about going back to the very first movie we did, Knights of the Round Table just started with, hey, look, there's a sword and a stone. Whoever pulls it becomes king.
Yeah. Usually we're skipping to Arthur almost fully formed. We don't see, this whole backstory and his father and how he was born, and
This is I found the thing that I was looking for. Where Boorman described the movie as, it recast Arthurian legends as an allegory of the cycle of birth, life, decay, and restoration.
Oh.
Yeah.
I mean, that is. I mean, I would say he did accurately portray that.
He says the movie is.
If that's what he was going for.
The film has to do with mythical truth, not historical truth. He also said in an interview.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think. Yeah. Well, historically,
there really wasn't a king. I mean, we'll get to the Antoine Fuqua movie that's like, this is the real story, and you're like, kind of. I
don't think I've seen that.
The Clive Owen version.
Oh! I don't think I realized he directed that.
Yeah, that was the one that like tried to find as much historical context as it could to kind of be like, this guy was kind of King Arthur. If you really look at it, that was that movie's whole marketing
I had no idea
plan.
He directed that. Well, we'll get into my feelings of Guinevere in that movie.
Well, they definitely, I mean, there's some stuff in that movie that that's an interesting movie.
There's some badass Guinevere stuff.
Yeah, I mean, that was a very conscious. Yeah, that's part of that whole design of that movie.
That is a cool Guinevere.
Yeah. Anyway, so you launch into all this, and it's sort of like, I mean, it has that this very grand tragedy idea of like Arthur hasn't done anything, but yet events are set in motion that will, be his undoing, even before he's born, right?
Which he's like promised to be this great king, but he's also doomed. Yeah. And this really, you get that here from the start.
Yeah, is that it's just
and you I would say in this one you feel that so much more than any of the other ones we've watched. You really feel like that's what's coming for him, and these villains are a real threat, and the other ones never really had that feeling of tragedy.
For sure. So we eventually go with we don't have to go through the whole plot, obviously, because like we're because I mean, it's interesting to watch this, as I was saying to you when we were watching it, that this is, I don't really watch like these King Arthur movies end to end, so it is interesting to see how, like, yes, they are all pulling from the same material, but you're looking at these because like when you get to this scene of young Arthur as squire to his brother, and he goes to fetch the sword, can't find the sword, ends up pulling the sword from the stone. We get Patrick Stewart.
Oh, amazing Patrick Stewart.
Yeah.
His introduction is probably the best.
Yeah.
I mean, the characters of him fighting to get the chance to try and pull the sword out of the stone, and he is just very determined, and he's very confident that he will be able to pull this thing out of the stone, and it's very entertaining.
It's so interesting that watching this movie in retrospect, and I remember seeing this movie as a kid and having this reaction, is like all the smaller side characters are the people who go on to be big names. Everybody else is a working actor, but like, Nigel Terry did stuff. The guy who played Arthur. Nicholas Clay, who played Lancelot, did stuff, but like Cheryl Lungi did stuff, who played Guinevere. They're all like working actors, but then you're like, is that Patrick Stewart? Is that Liam Neeson?
There's big names in this.
Yeah, I mean,
like, wait a minute.
Aside from Helen Mirren, I mean, like Helen Mirren and Nicole Williamson they were names already at this point. They were already revered British actors. But Boorman did talk about that they were like, look, you got to make this as cheap as possible. So a lot of his choices for characters he didn't get. Nicole Williamson wasn't his first choice. He wanted Connery to be Merlin.
Oh, okay.
But too expensive.
Yeah, that would have been a bigger name. That would have been expensive.
He said he wanted Connery.
That also makes sense.
Yeah.
that he'd already worked with him, he'd want to work
Yeah.
with him again.
You want Connery. Max von Sydow was also thrown around for it. You know, guys at the time who had that
Okay.
sort of gravitas. Lee Marvin, which I think is very interesting, but a guy that Boorman worked with a lot. So I think that was...
I mean, I did find it odd that I didn't know most of the actors, and I mean, I knew Merlin and obviously Morgana, but that I didn't know like the Arthur and the Guinevere and the Lancelot. But that makes more sense now if it was you got to keep this thing cheap.
Yeah, to a certain extent, though. Although, even though
sense.
nobody knew who Stuart, Byrne, Neeson were, any of these guys just happened to turn into, big names. I mean, Stuart had a reputation amongst like Shakespeare people, right? He was a Royal Shakespeare Company member at the time and stuff like that. So he certainly had a little acclaim if you were in that sphere, but certainly not in movies. But like nobody knew who the hell Gabriel Byrne or Liam Neeson are.
But now you watch it and you're like, hey, we know them.
I mean, Liam Neeson is funny because he's in around a lot of the Knights of the Round Table scenes, but he doesn't have like a ton to do. So it's really like weird because you're like, is that Liam Neeson back there?
Chunk of the movie where you're seeing him, but he has not had a line.
Yeah.
Like it takes a while before he actually has like a little sequence. But you're just like, oh, there's Liam Neeson again.
Also being 6'4", like he just towers over everybody too. He's just this big
There's
dude.
a lot of sequences of them standing in a circle, and you can just clearly see him because he's so tall.
And of course the tabloid.
That your eye just goes to him.
And of course the tabloidy thing that he and Helen Mirren had a relationship following the making of this movie.
Well, I mean, they're both beautiful, so...
Yeah, that was... And we're together for several years after this, so, They were
together for a while.
They were together for a while, yeah. Like a good chunk of the 80s. So, you know...
because they were just recently on Graham Norton together, the two of them. Or I think that was recent. I don't know. Maybe the clip was old. I don't know.
Sure, yeah.
Don't fact check me. No one has
It was probably recent. They both have movies out, like, right now, so...
True. Yeah. He had Van Gunn. She's got the Thursday Murder Club.
Yep. So.
Yeah, and she is gorgeous.
Well, yeah, that's
in this movie.
Yeah, that's.
Oh my goodness, the makeup, the clothes.
Yeah.
Oh man.
She's got.
I agree with everything she's doing, but she is a smoke show. Holy moly, she's stunning.
Yeah, I mean, she's got the best part in this thing, right? I mean, I think, and Merlin, like Merlin and Morgana are the best characters to play in this movie.
Yeah, and so many of the best scenes are them, I guess, because they didn't like each other, going toe to toe.
She did say that this experience was more positive, and they left this movie on good terms.
Well, that's good. So I guess casting them, he healed the relationship.
Yeah, I mean, I think they said that was 7 years before this that they had. So, I mean, time.
Because they do have a great chemistry together and really play off each other really well, of basically like, am I fooling you? Are you fooling me?
They're both magic users, but of course you get into like very fantasy sort of stuff of like, but she's using dark magic, and of course is also using it, not only using dark magic, but using it for vengeance, and and he is, nominally an ethical figure, right? I mean, he ultimately wants good. He's the thing I really like about Nicole Williamson's Merlin is that I think he's a guy with good intentions who's just watching everything fall apart around him, right? He just keeps seeing people make horrible decisions, just go like, oh man, you guys could. Oh.
Yeah, he just like can't quite get them on the right track.
I mean, at the end of the day, I think the end of the movie is quite telling that, like, ultimately what has to happen is you have to throw the sword back, right? Like, it's almost just like nobody should be in possession of it.
Yeah, like is it too powerful?
Because
we even see that scene earlier on when Lancelot and Arthur first meet, and Arthur like is in a rage trying to kill Lancelot and breaks the sword.
Yeah.
Because he's just so full of rage that he breaks the unbreakable thing.
Because exactly, and it's
that
sort of
like.
I mean, and
does it make you confident? Does it make you too full of yourself? to have that kind of power.
Well, and of course, the moment when Arthur discovers Lancelot and Guinevere are sleeping together, and he stabs it into the ground, right? I mean, there's this, the sword comes to represent all these different things of the movie, and at the end of the movie, it is Percival, probably the most actively heroic character in the movie, right?
Absolutely.
Who is the one who is ultimately the one who's able to throw it back into the water.
Yeah, he's not tempted by that.
And I mean, he feels the power,
do
but
this for me, and,
decides,
and he does.
Yeah, because he is, and I think that I think that was a change Boorman made, if I read this, because the other thing he did is this is primarily based on structurally Mort d'Arthur, but he sort of like borrowed little pieces of stuff from other Arthur. Oh, I like that part. I like this part. Add that. Change these characters and make it this.
I'm guessing a lot of these are that of just pulling.
Because
all the different sources instead of just trying to do one.
Yeah, the resulting film is reminiscent of the mythographic works of Sir James Fraser and Jesse Weston. I don't know what any of this stuff is. So I mean, he talks about there's a lot of stuff in the movie that they borrowed from. I mean, he even talks about the sword between the two sleeping lovers' bodies comes from the tale of Tristan and Isolde, not from King Arthur, actually. I mean, although I think that is connected. Is that not to some extent?
Probably. I mean, I saw that movie many years ago. But I think when I saw it, their big marketing for it was like before Romeo and Juliet. There was Tristan and Isolde, or like it was the old-fashioned Notebook, because that was very.
I mean, it is a romance story dating back to the 12th century. So it is a medieval.
Yeah, and it is about a woman sort of caught between two men: the man she loves, and then this guy that she has to marry.
But apparently, there's the thing of someone finding them and stabbing a sword between them. Imagery comes from that.
That was in there.
And also
it's a very good. That movie has a good cast, but it's pretty boring.
Yeah. But he was like, "Ooh, that's good. Make that Excalibur, and we're good to go."
I mean, that is a very almost like haunting image of them and the sword between them.
The other thing that he did. Oh, I mean, the other thing he did is he simplified in the classic tales. The sword and the stone is not Excalibur, and he gets Excalibur from the Lady in the Lake later. They're separate swords. He just made them one sword. He also is the first guy to have Uther wield Excalibur before Arthur, which I see here in the notes that Merlin then took that from this movie.
So see, I told you.
Yeah.
Merlin.
Yeah, Merlin actually borrowed that from
these. So these things are connected.
I think that's another thing I like about this movie, though, is he is doing that's a very because that's a lot about how one of the things I like about a lot of modern superhero movies too, and the way they adapt comic books is you're like, I'm going to take a little bit. I mean, I'm primarily going to take this person's run. I'm going to borrow this element from this. When you have all these disparate sources and all this mythology, right? You're just sort of borrowing good bits and then going, actually, it'd be simpler if I just make this and this. Oh, and it's Bedivere, not Percival, that throws the sword back in the water in the legend traditionally. But,
Oh, but they just made it Percival.
I think because he connected he made it because Percival looking for the Grail, so he just made it. It's Percival's looking for the Grail, so it's also Percival that, and that is.
No, that's easier for us to understand as the audience as we're just following this guy doing
that seemed to be the Boorman whole approach to this is like, I'm going to really turn this more into a movie structure. It's still episodic in nature, but he's tying all these themes together so it feels like you're watching this thing be built and one scene leads into another in a way that doesn't feel like we've seen so many of these where it feels like it's like, okay, now we're over to this, now we're over to that. It's just like, no, this is all telling one story, even if it can be broken up into chapters.
Yeah, the other ones, you felt that it felt episodic. It felt like you were jumping. This one was much smoother.
Yeah.
As we're just going through time and we're adding in these elements as we're going through time. I also do something I did like in this one, because I've obviously, if you've listened to past episodes, gotten quite annoyed with the Lancelot Guinevere stuff.
Yeah.
But something I did like in this one was that Guinevere is very quickly into Lancelot, and Lancelot is like, ooh, I don't know, I don't think so. I think that might be a bad idea.
Right.
And you see him like really like she'll be like smiling at him, and he's like, no, I better not smile back at her. And you see that sort of him being like, yeah, no, I'm just not sure. He's not as quick to just leap into like running around flirting with this woman. He sees that like, yeah, that could be bad.
Well, it's part of the whole thing in this movie. When I talk about it feeling more gritty and grounded, that applies to the characters too. Everyone feels a little more like a person to some extent.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, there's only so much time the movie can spend with them, but everyone feels, you know, like you said, it doesn't feel like, oh, they're the archetypes of these characters. They feel a little bit more like they have doubts, and like they're not purely heroic or purely evil. Even somebody like Morgana, who is evil, is like, oh, well, but that's all set in motion by Uther's actions, and who knows what paths he would have gone on had it not been for that. You know,
yeah, because we've seen Morgana and we've seen Mordred in other movies, but it's never been particularly clear why. It's mostly just they want power and they want to rule.
Right, and this, it really is this
one, like,
long-term
you see the anger and
vengeance.
why. Yeah, like it makes so much more sense.
Yeah,
why she's upset than in the other ones where it's like, I guess they just want power.
I think you also see her be. I mean, the big scene that Liam Neeson gets as Gawain is the scene where he's at the round table and he accuses Guinevere, you know, of impropriety. And you really get that sense of like, oh, this is Morgana working through him.
Yeah.
You know, in a way that doesn't.
The other one, she's just kind of at parties going like, well, you know, and she's just kind of gossiping. I think I've compared it to like a Real Housewives. Like she's just kind of stirring the pot and kind of seeing what will this work? Will that work? And this one, you really see her being like, no, I'm going to manipulate this specific person to say this thing out loud at the party that will anger everybody. It's so much more focused and more thought out than just, I don't know, I'm going to go to a party and spread some gossip, I guess.
Until you've got Liam Neeson with his epic beard yelling, you know.
Yeah, and his like, does he have a man bun? He has like a ponytail or something?
Yeah. It's quite the look for him in this movie.
Yeah, and is like Guinevere sleeping with Lancelot, and everyone's like, what?
That's crazy.
How dare you? And then I guess because he accused her, he has to fight. Someone has to fight for her honor.
Is
that what it was?
Yeah, yeah.
But it can't be Arthur. Wasn't that something where he's like, well, I can't.
Yeah, I mean they send a champion, right?
Because I'm king. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. You know, I mean it's very the idea that's like, oh, I guess he must have been lying because we beat the shit out of him and he recanted, is a very
he does eventually go like, okay, she didn't do it.
Is kind of a funny thing that is very, you know, of medieval times, right? Is like, all right, we pummeled him enough that he backtracked, so we're all good.
Well, and I think it's interesting that they go through all that, he backtracks, and then that's when Guinevere and Lancelot were like, well, I guess now we can actually have an affair because we went through all this. He says we're not having an affair, so I guess now we can, because who's going to question us again?
Yeah.
No one's going to accuse us a second time.
We all saw what happened to Gawain.
Yeah. So who's going to go through that? So I guess now we do have the affair.
And indeed they do.
They do. But the problem is, I pointed out, was like, your husband's friends with a wizard.
You've brought this up, yeah.
Friends with a wizard. So, like, it's hard to sneak around. And so, of course, it gets back to Arthur that this happened. And then he does the thing with the sword between them.
Yeah. There was
and then he just goes...
Yeah.
Which is weird.
There was a cut of this movie that they recut this movie to a more family-friendly PG version, apparently. And now keep in mind, there was no PG-13, so when I say PG, it's not like it went down completely.
Oh, right, there wasn't.
Right, so it's
no,
not
that would be
nuts. So there was like 119-minute cut with less graphic sex and violence. They talk about it was not widely released. I do find this funny though. When it premiered on HBO, they would show the PG version during the day and the R-rated version at night. Yeah. Not like
That's
late at
pretty
night, but
funny.
right. But I just think the idea about like if kids are watching HBO during the
Yeah,
day, they can see
during the
the
day,
PG version. I
and then
never,
put the kids to bed and watch
I never,
Excalibur.
um, I never knew this as anything but this cut of I don't think that PG cut got around very much. Like the tape,
I had no idea
the
that.
tape we had of this was just the R-rated version.
Yeah, that makes sense.
You never put this tape in, though. I take it as a kid.
I
Yeah.
no, as a kid, I was not putting in Excalibur
Yeah,
very much.
yeah. I
The
wasn't
Princess
watching.
Bride.
I wasn't watching this a ton, but I definitely did watch as a kid. So
You were watching all kinds of stuff as a kid, so that does not.
yeah, I mean,
surprise me.
this was very much in the same era as in the same arena, I should say, as I talked to. I mean, we did an episode about this back in our pulp season, like Conan the Barbarian as well. These sort of bloodier. I've talked a lot about my love of 80s fantasy movies as having this sort of. They're all number one. They're a lot. Well, not all, but like a lot of them are R-rated. They aren't really made. Mike Gargoni, frequent guest on this show, will say that I hate whimsy, and I suppose that some of what I like about that is there is a lack of. They're less whimsical and more weird. They're dark.
Very
dark.
weird.
They tend to be dark. I love stuff like Legend, or Conan the Barbarian,
Yeah, they have a very specific look, like when you're watching one from the 80s.
Well, because they're all like, and the other thing I like about them, as you bring up the look, is like they're all sets and practical effects.
Yeah.
Puppetry and stuff. Not so much in this movie, but like in a lot of the other stuff. There's just it just creates this different vibe. Everything feels a little bit more tactile, a little bit more grounded as a result of that. And I can sometimes check out if the world feels so foreign to me in a fantasy movie or something like that I'm like, I don't know.
I can have that if you throw a little too much at me, or like I struggle with that a lot reading fantasy, as I just get lost.
Yeah.
Because I don't know what's going on, or the world, or the character names, and I'm like, wait, what's happening? Wait, where am I?
Yeah. I also love Lady Hawk, which is a Richard
That's just a
Donner
great
movie.
name for a movie.
Lady Hawk, yeah, with Rutger Hauer and Michelle Pfeiffer. Yeah.
Oh, I do love Michelle Pfeiffer.
Yeah,
so.
yeah. It's a crazy movie about people who turn into animals. But
one thing I would say is this has the creepiest Mordred I think I've ever seen.
Well, I was going to bring up
this kid is terrifying.
I was going to bring up Mordred because, as I said, like a lot of these characters aren't wholly evil, but he is literally birthed of evil, right? Like he is, because I mean, you get the whole thing of, turnabout is fair play, I guess, when Morgana seduces Arthur, presenting herself as Guinevere, which creates both his son and nephew, Mordred.
Yeah, it's complicated.
That is
Mordred, and he is just, bleh. He is introduced in such a creepy way.
Yeah.
I did not like it.
He
has gold.
Kinsey, who plays him? Charlie Boorman. John Boorman's son.
What?
Is the young
Oh my gosh.
Mordred that you were so creeped out by. This movie is rife with Boormans in it.
I did not realize that.
Yeah, there's a lot of Boormans.
Two of his children were in this movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, he has gold armor.
Yeah.
And his helmet is like a face.
Yeah, that only goes to his mouth, and he's got it's open.
Yeah, and he's just riding around on a horse giggling.
The whole sequence with Percival chasing the Grail is the most like horror movie section of this, right?
Yeah. Oh, easily.
When he finds the trees with all the knights hanging
from trees,
and then they leave him in the
birds.
Yeah.
Pecking out eyes.
Yeah.
Oh, it is horrifying when you enter like this world that Morgana is in now. It's just ugh.
And you do get, it's one of my favorite moments in the movie though, which is the Helen Mirren supervillain monologue to Percival.
Yes, by the time she has Mordred, she is full on supervillain.
Well, and this is what I remember from whatever readings I did of the, Arthur myth and stuff like that, is Mordred is the instrument of his downfall, right? And this movie makes it very much like he is specifically born to kill Arthur. That is it. He
Yeah.
exists only to destroy Arthur.
Yeah, she wants this soldier that will
Yeah.
bring him down, and their relationship is so, she's like oils him up, she like
Well, you get the whole
washes him.
scene where, I mean, she grows him into a man, right? To so that he
Yeah,
can, best fight him and stuff like
he
that.
puts him in the gold armor and then is like sprinkling him with glitter and stuff. Like
Yeah.
he is this beautiful killing object to her.
Yeah. No, I mean it's very it kind of reminds me of Fayed Rautha from Dune a little bit, in that sort of this, like, he's a little bit less psychotic than that because he's more stoic, but still it's this sort of
maybe.
thing about, like, a walking instrument of death.
Yeah,
Uh
that is what she wants him to be.
and I do think the end of the movie, we avoid a lot of the stuff that annoyed you as well. We avoid a lot of the trial of Guinevere and stuff. And this, it's sort of Guinevere's own choice to go into the nunnery.
Yeah, the stuff with Guinevere in the nunnery in this one was more because Arthur goes to see her
Yeah.
in the nunnery, and there's more of like a sadness there of like, we had something that was kind of nice, but it ended, and there's sort of this, they still sort of have a love for each other, but they know that it went bad.
I love all
And
that
it's
stuff
sort of
too.
it's a much nicer scene, a sort of ending scene between her and Arthur than we've seen in anything else.
Yeah, there's like I said, there's a maturity to this movie and that isn't just the violence and the sex of it, but to that kind of stuff. Where and once again, I think I was saying this when we were watching it, that because he's creating this epic scope to it, there's time passing. The idea that this is an elderly Arthur coming to an older Guinevere, it feels like, man, that incident between you and Lancelot was 25 years ago, right? Like it.
Yeah.
It wasn't yesterday.
And they both sort of have this feeling of like, we've made mistakes, but we've come to, peace about that, and we can, go forward from it, and we're okay, and we can sort of have this goodbye.
Yeah.
And it's not full of anger or anything.
Right.
It's a much better sequence, because usually when we see her in the nunnery, it is so fresh, like she's just got
and she's been either sentenced there or whatever. Here it feels like this is what's become of this, and it's a shame it had to go like this. And it's the same thing when Lancelot comes back once more, because Mordred, of course, the end of the movie is all about Mordred demanding the throne from Arthur, and Lancelot comes back to stand aside, beside him, right? And so you get this whole, it does feel like, I mean, I still think, and this is a lazy answer to, or this is a lazy suggestion, I feel like, today, but like I still am and I was saying this to you actually, I'm still waiting for like the 10-part, prestige series that does La Morte d'Arthur or Once and Future King, or some kind of combination of the two, because I do feel like that would especially if you had, like if the characters age, like if you cast it in a way where you have young to teenage / young adult to elderly actors playing these parts, and you really had this thing, that's sort of been in my head since we're watching this, is it does feel like Boorman is able to, in 2 hours 20 minutes, make you actually feel that. I mean, I think that's one of the real strengths of this movie. But it does feel like, the idea that like this is the story of an entire life.
No, it is surprising that no one has done that.
Not
with all
really
these limited series that we've had, that no one has really done that.
Yeah, it's always another movie,
like
and I mean, I feel like the movies these days are, when we'll talk about them when we get to the more recent ones. There's a real interesting, them trying to turn King Arthur into Marvel is a weird choice. And we'll talk about that when we get to the Guy Ritchie movie that was very much meant to be like a multi-part movies about each of the Knights of the Round Table, which then come together like the Avengers. Like, that's just strange, you guys. I don't know if that's a good idea.
No, I mean it sounds like something a studio would pitch.
Yeah.
But I'm not sure that's
And
what
it's free,
anyone was
right?
looking
It's
for.
free because it's all in the public domain.
And that's always nice. Free
Yeah.
is very nice.
Yeah. So yeah. And then we get the final fight between Arthur and Mordred is pretty gnarly.
Yeah, it is bloody and gruesome and
Yeah.
yeah.
And once again,
Ugh.
and it's all done. I love the way Boorman, and once again, some of this may be necessity of budget, but I think it really works still artistically. Is the sort of mist shrouded battlefield where you can only see what's like directly in front of you.
It's close up, it's foggy, it's really
Yeah.
foggy.
He's
yeah,
not
it makes it very intimate.
right, which I think works, even if that maybe is just he can't fill a battlefield with hundreds of soldiers. It
No,
really works for the section of the movie, though.
It works to this thing that we have been building to.
Yeah, that at the end of the day, it really is.
Showdown.
Well, I also love the moment where Mordred comes to him before that and demands the crown, and he's just like, "Hey, man, no, but how about I just be your father?" But no, he's built out of Morgana's vengeance and rage. And once again, it's actually Arthur being making the morally good choice, but it doesn't matter. This was set into motion before he was even born.
Yeah, it's the sadness of he's doing the opposite of what his father would have done in that moment, and yet it still isn't enough. That's so sad.
It is, and that it comes down to they kill each other on the battlefield.
They kill each other.
Yeah. And then and Percival returns the sword from whence it came.
Yep.
Where maybe it should have stayed.
It back into the lady. Yeah, maybe the Lady of the Lake should just hold on to that.
Yeah. And then the movie just kind of ends. I mean, it just sort of stops right there. It doesn't.
Arthur floats away in a boat.
Yeah, surrounded by. Are those nuns, or I mean, I don't quite know what.
I don't know if those are. I don't know. There's like 3 women. I have no idea who they are or what they're doing.
The Lady of the Lake catches the sword. Percival watches carried away on a ship toward Avalon.
I guess he's going to Avalon.
Yeah, there is the Mists of Avalon. There was a miniseries they did, which I think I've mentioned. I chose not to do the TV stuff, but that's because that was a famous book that was the Arthurian legend, but only from the perspective, or specifically from the, not only from, but specifically from the perspectives of the female characters, which I remember watching, but have completely forgotten. But I remember watching it when it was on TV.
Yeah, that was like a big television event, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was a big TV event. Yeah, that was Juliana Margulies was Morgane.
Okay.
You know, yeah. Once again, I haven't.
It's weird to think about that there were these like big TV miniseries events.
Well, because there was also Merlin. Sam Neill is Merlin. I definitely watched.
Yeah, that was one that was like a big thing to do.
Yeah, I remember the Odyssey one. I remember the Gulliver's Travels one. I remember the Alice in Wonderland one.
And these were big.
They were big. It was like every year it would be like NBC is proud to present, you know, these things that were epic by TV standards.
Yes.
They were bigger than your average TV show, but they still weren't quite movies, you know. We still weren't yet at that place where movies and TV meet in terms of quality. We're still a ways away from that. Yeah. I will say, talking about the legacy of this movie, Zack Snyder has said many a time it's his favorite film. The quote he has here of it is the perfect meeting of movies and myth.
Okay. That's fair. I can't really argue.
Yeah. It's referenced in Ready Player One as well, which makes a lot of sense because that's all about. Yes, I need to see. I've never seen there's a feature-length documentary about the making of it, and I need to track this down. It's Neil Jordan directed, who's a great filmmaker in his own right. But there is a documentary called "The Making of Excalibur: Myth into Movie."
Oh.
So I need to find that. Maybe it's on YouTube or something. If you got a link, send it to me, folks.
Yeah.
Because I would 100% watch that. We didn't talk about the score by Trevor Jones, which also uses though a lot of sourced music from like Wagner.
Yeah, it's very epic.
Mm-hmm.
Songs of them riding into battle.
Yeah. It's I mean it all really fits. Yeah, it's a mix of Wagner and Karl Orff.
Okay.
I particularly like. I think that's Orff that's at the end when they're riding to battle. It's like the
Yeah.
I think that's Orff. I don't know. I don't know my classical music. I know that.
No, I'm not going to be any help with that. I know nothing.
I know it's Wagner that becomes the theme to the sword. It's a Wagner piece that is associated with the sword. So you can also go to the London Film Museum, which I would go crazy in. And they have
100% would.
They have the Excalibur sword from this movie on display.
Oh, that's cool.
And it's on a display. It's stuck into the stone.
That's pretty great.
Yeah, I mean, another thing I like about this movie, once again, it's the subtlety of the fantasy stuff. The green glimmer that represents the sword. You know, it's not overplayed. Yeah. It's subtle, but the way that everything kind of metal shimmers, but that one projects this green light from it, I think, just gives it this otherworldly nature that's pretty cool without being, over the top about it. Yeah,
it makes it seem powerful and special.
Yes, indeed. It's just it's such a well done movie, and I think, especially as a kid, it was so much more exciting than any other version I saw of this.
It would 100% be,
and it still has,
especially because, like, as a kid, you probably saw like Sword in the Stone, and then if you saw this, you'd be like, "Whoa!"
Yeah, and
there's so much more going on.
I talked about seeing the first one we watched, Knights of the Round Table, on like Turner Classic Movies. And I had loved the Errol Flynn Robin Hood, but being like, this is not, none of those ever really. I feel like a lot of those didn't live up to that Errol Flynn movie.
No.
I will say
that one definitely doesn't have as much going on.
Excalibur does have one of the raddest posters in the history of film. I
did look up the poster.
The poster it is
really nice.
Rules, and it's a poster I've almost put on my wall many times. It is so cool, and it was what was on the. I saw it all the time because it was on the VHS cover, of course.
When I can see how that poster would get people excited about it. Or want to see it because you're like, whoa, that looks cool.
I think this really is the first one that truly we've seen other ones try to be epics. This is the first one that really feels epic.
Yes.
And this was
this achieved that.
This was a fairly big hit. It was an $11 million budget. Now keep in mind that's in 1981 money though. So, but that's like a mid-tier, and it made 34.
Okay.
So I mean, this is and that would have been a hit back then though. It was nominated for 1 Academy Award for cinematography.
That is definitely earned.
And it was nominated for Best Costume Design at the BAFTAs.
I'm surprised it didn't get a Oscar nomination for costumes.
Yeah. Especially because
they usually love stuff like that.
Bob Ringwood, although I think this was actually his first film, Bob Ringwood would go on to be a major costume designer for film. He did, or at least to me, right? Because he did both. He did both of the Tim Burton Batman movies.
Okay.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's why
Yeah, it's immediately a name I recognize. He also did my beloved Star Trek Nemesis.
So of course because his name came up and you were like, "Whoa, he did
Bob
this
Ringwood."
Movie? And
yeah.
I don't usually see you react that way to costumes.
The movie he did after this
now
is
it makes.
He did David Lynch's Dune after this, which the costume work is pretty amazing on.
Did he do like every movie you liked?
He might have also done 1994's The Shadow. All right, I'm done.
Oh my gosh!
Which anyone who heard our pulp film season knows that how much I adore that film.
Now it makes so much sense.
It did, yeah.
Did you say he did Nemesis?
He did Star Trek Nemesis, yes.
Well, because that's weird because this movie has a
There's a similar moment to the beat of
similar moment with,
someone being impaled and pulling themselves along to attack someone else.
Yeah, to attack someone like in Nemesis.
Like at the end of Nemesis. Spoilers for Star Trek Nemesis. Hey, you had...
Yeah, sorry if I spoiled Star Trek Nemesis.
You had like 23 years to watch it, so, you know, like, I don't know what to tell you.
And to be fair, I didn't say character names.
No, this is true.
So,
it's just a thing that happens.
Could be any... That happens to someone.
Yeah, that happens to someone very climactically
Star
in the
Trek
film. Nemesis, which, you know, come at me with your criticisms of, because I dig that movie. I don't know what to tell you. I've been defending that movie forever. Anyway, it did also win. I don't know. It won Best Artistic Contribution at the Cannes Film Festival. I don't quite know what that means.
I don't know.
And I don't know if that's a thing they even give out every year.
I have not heard of that before.
Yeah, Best Artistic Contribution. So
I wonder what that means.
It was nominated for the Palme d'Or, but it was given best. Yeah, I mean, I will say this movie is kind of a movie you could see, like, you know, artsy film people liking and mainstream public. It's got enough of...
Yeah, it has enough of both.
Yeah, it's a very artsy movie while at the same time having enough propulsive action to it that I think just people could enjoy it going to the movies on a Saturday night.
Yeah, definitely.
So let's check in with, in my opinion, the greatest film critic of all time, Roger Ebert, and what he thought of the movie. He was kind of about it. 2.5 stars. He called it "What a wondrous vision Excalibur is, and what a mess."
Okay.
He basically said it looks beautiful, but he never knew what was happening.
Okay. I didn't have that same problem.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. He basically was just like, I can't follow what anyone is doing or what they want, but it looks amazing.
It is very pretty.
Yeah. The film was a triumph of production design, costumes, and special effects, but he hasn't hammered out a clear storyline. He couldn't tell certain characters apart.
Okay, I didn't have that problem.
I know. I'm interested. I'm reading this. He goes like, everyone has beards and armor. I can't figure out who the hell is who.
No, I know who is who.
Yeah, he does mention Williamson as Merlin as being, he really likes that. And of course, he mentions,
he's great.
Ever horn dog Roger Ebert, the beautiful Helen Mirren, the absolutely lovely Helen Mirren.
He did like a pretty lady.
Oh yeah. I will say that's not as horn dog as some of the comments he gets. The movie was met with kind of mixed reaction from critics in general, I would say.
Okay.
I mean, I don't know. You know, I think there is still like it, but it's still like a magic sword movie, right?
Yeah, that can happen.
Yeah,
they just fall into that.
Indeed. Well, let's talk about how it did at the box office. This was 1981, and where do you think this landed at the box office? Do I have where it landed at the box office? Because we've talked about. This time I do have. The top 116 films.
That's specific.
Yeah, because I mean, I think that's maybe all that came out. Where do you think Excalibur landed in that?
I mean, is it like the top 15?
A little bit below that. So,
like 20.
Yeah, I mean, it came in at 18. All right.
Okay.
18, just above Endless Love, the Brooke Shields Weeper, but also I believe the first on-screen appearance of Tom Cruise.
I believe that's true.
As just like one of the other guys. I think
that is true.
And just below one of my favorite movies, Sharky's Machine, from director-star Burt Reynolds.
Oh boy.
Nothing will stop.
Bring up Sharky.
Nothing will stop Sharky and his machine.
Oh my gosh.
That movie kicks ass. That for those who don't know, that's a movie about Burt Reynolds falling in love with a woman that he's a cop keeping tabs on a woman that he ends up falling in love with through observing her.
Oh, well, that's complicated.
Yeah. Anyway, let me give you the top 5 here because it's another interest. It's an interesting, as always, what was big in the past, right? Number 1 movie of the year, no surprise here, Superman 2.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And second place, Raiders of the Lost Ark. These are all making sense. Here's where it gets
Those
weird.
are 2 big ones.
Third highest grossing movie of the year, On Golden Pond.
Wow, that is like the complete opposite.
A movie, yeah, like the first 2 are pretty indicative of like what would be big today. You know, big genre tentpole franchise movies, and then like just a real quiet character drama. That movie made $119 million.
That would not happen now.
And then this was a time when you could still make comedies. In 4th place was Arthur with Dudley Moore.
Oh, wow.
And in 5th place was Bill Murray in Stripes.
Okay.
So
we got some comedies up there.
Yeah. Hey, good time for Burt because in 6th place was Cannonball Run, another Burt movie. This was still when Burt was huge.
Big ones.
Yeah.
2 movies in 1 year.
Two big Burt releases, and also because I would be remiss if I didn't mention that 8th place was For Your Eyes Only. That Bond was in the top 10. So
you had to bring
that is one of my favorites too. I really like For Your Eyes Only. You like that one too because that's got the girl with the crossbow.
Golden Crossbow is cool.
Yeah. All right. So that's Excalibur. Let's finish up here with some highs and lows. How can there be a low? I have a real love for this movie, so I don't. You know, but especially a movie this, talked about that this many people have seen. There's always somebody who's like, I didn't like it. Got it.
Worst thing I ever
saw. Here we go. Let's talk about this. Let's see here. Okay, here we go. This comes to us from No Mercy. This is the positive, though.
It doesn't sound like it's going to be.
Yeah. Who titles the review simply "Transcendental." Having read The Knights of the Round Table as a child and Le Morte d'Arthur in Old English as an adult, that's some commitment. In Old English, I have always been profoundly touched by this story of rise, fall, love, hate, betrayal, and hope. As a result, I have developed an intense dislike for most pathetic attempts to put this story on film. This is why I want to bring this up, because this person mentioned specifically some of the movies we've watched. Excalibur is the first and so far only film, in my opinion, to come very close to the brass ring. First, some ranting. The early film with Cornel Wilde was a swashbuckling story, no more. We talked about Cornel Wilde, of course.
Yep.
The Disney cartoon Sword in the Stone was the first in a long series of extremely offensive attempts to take inspirational and tragic stories and turn them into something banal.
Extremely offensive.
Yeah. First Night, which we haven't talked about yet, but we will, was a perfect for displaying Richard Gere's lack of talent and wasting a perfectly good Sean Connery. This ranks up there with Plan 9 from Outer Space. Brutal.
Oh my God! Really took a shot at Richard Gere there.
Fuck you, Gere. We will talk about. That's not an uncommon opinion about that movie, though.
Does he feel that way about his entire career?
Well, that I don't know. Yeah, because I will say there before we even get there, I would say people feel about Gere similar to how they feel about Costner as Robin Hood. But Excalibur has put faces to the characters I read about. It infused them with personalities and gave them life beyond the pages. I was transported by Merlin's magic on the mountaintop, awakening the dragon. I felt a strange elation when Arthur drew the sword, one of the most meaningful and defining moments in literature. And now, movie history. I trembled and rejoiced when Arthur handed Excalibur to Eurynes? I don't know, and was knighted. That is a cool scene. When he gives the guy the sword that he could kill him with, but he chooses. And my eyes welled up with tears when the ship took his body away to Avalon. And the music, that glorious music, never intrusive but always suggestive and underlining the drama subtly. After seeing this movie, anyone hearing Karl Orff's Carmina Burana's Dares Luna will forever associate with courage, rebirth, sacrifice, and redemption. I actually do agree with that. I do think of that piece of music as belonging to this movie, even though it doesn't. Anyone seeing this movie will be moved to believing that one day Arthur may indeed return to redeem us all. It tells us that hope never dies. 10 out of 10 stars. We've always talked about that it's surprising no one's made a movie about Arthur returning, because that is a big part of the legend.
I'm always surprised by that.
It does feel like...
it just seems like such an obvious thing.
Like King Arthur, but modern day. Yeah, really.
Him coming to modern day to return and save everyone.
Yeah.
It's just, how is that not a thing?
It does seem like it would be. Someone has for sure written something. If it hasn't gotten made, it'd be insane that somebody hasn't written something like that. Anyway.
Yeah, because it's just like, that should exist.
Yeah, I said it because it just seems like
that.
here's a thing, but in a way you haven't, is like what Hollywood is right now. Okay.
Zack Snyder, what you doing?
Yeah. Okay. This comes to us from Potted Stew. That's STU. Stew is I don't know. I only read the names. I don't try to explain them.
Okay.
Who titles their review "Pointless and Confused Retelling of Arthurian Myth." Now they're about to say something insulting about Boorman that is like kind of one of the reasons I really like him as a filmmaker. Boorman, just know that because you also know the kinds of stuff I respond to in film, so I think you'll.
Yes. Yeah.
Boorman has always been a director more interested in intellectual themes and the play of symbols than in plot, characterization, action, drama, or the other perks of commercial cinema. Sometimes, as in Point Blank, this produces a film which is austere yet impressive and resonant. Point Blank's a masterpiece. Go watch Point Blank, everybody. Just to watch Lee Marvin walk in it. There's scenes where you just have Lee Marvin like stalking towards people that are amazing. Anyway, sorry. And resonant. At other times, like Zardoz, the result is unintentionally hilarious and leaves the viewers clueless as to the director's intentions. I do agree Zardoz is a swing and a miss, but it's a big swing from a great filmmaker.
Oh, it's a big swing, all right.
Yeah. Excalibur falls in the middle. It's not powerful, epic filmmaking, and it's not camp nonsense. It's just dull. Get ready for something that you called, all right? You said this watching the movie. That someone would say this, not this was your opinion. Most of the action takes place in near total darkness, so it's impossible to follow the plot, even if you can work out which of the million variations of Arthur's myth he's trying to tell.
I did say that.
Yeah.
I said I bet there'd be people today who would complain that it's too dark and you can't see anything.
Yep, and that's it exactly.
Yep.
Occasionally, Helen Mirren's naked body looms out of the night, which may have been nifty when the film was made, but now there are websites for that kind of thing.
Okay, sir.
The cast, mainly not quite famous stage actors, don't seem to understand how to put their characters across on film. The cinematography is occasionally pretty, but generally dysfunctional, since it fails to serve the needs of plot and character. Even the story itself is poor, demonstrating the legend of Arthur is less a coherent narrative and more a string of sometimes contradictory events, conflating numerous historical figures and folk tales. The film has no discernible intellectual, social, or political message, and though it promises the chance to see a record of some good stage actors, the expected performances never materialize through the darkness and mud. The story of Arthur has been presented so many times it's almost impossible to do anything original other than be worse than whatever has come before, as the recent King Arthur demonstrated. Watch Disney's The Sword and the Stone instead. 1 out of 10 stars.
Oh my goodness.
So the exact opposite opinion. The other guy ragged on Sword and the Stone.
Who didn't like Sword and the Stone at all.
Yeah, but
interesting.
Yeah.
Wow, that person was real mad.
Very mad. Yes. So there you go. There's some thoughts on Excalibur. I, for one, love this movie. I don't know. What were your thoughts on Excalibur?
I mean, I enjoyed it. That person said it's dull. I don't think it's dull. It moves pretty well. It's fast paced.
It's the best paced of these movies that we've watched by far.
Yeah, it did really interesting things with the story that I have, that we haven't seen so far, and I enjoyed that. Like, it actually had a villain and it had a threat, and Arthur was much more of a character than he usually is, and it wasn't just all melodramatic romance.
Yeah.
So yeah, I enjoyed it.
I'm glad you mentioned melodramatic romance, because that brings us to next week's movie.
Oh, good.
Which we just talked about. It is the aforementioned First Night. This was I remember this because this came out in our lifetime. This was our generation's King Arthur movie from 1995. It is First Night, starring Sean Connery as Arthur, Richard Gere as Lancelot, and Julia Ormond as Guinevere. And this is a real stripped down, no magic movie. All right, this is real. Like this is a for real drama of what really would have happened.
And we've already had someone insult Richard Gere.
I do. I will say I haven't seen this movie in a long time. I remember watching this movie when it came out and liking it. Of course, I watched it because I will watch anything with Sean Connery.
Yeah, that's Sean Connery, so you were watching it.
But yeah, it definitely is much more of a love story. I think it'll be interesting to talk about the fact that obviously Arthur is considerably older in this.
Yeah, much older.
So that's sort of an interesting take. It's got some actors you'll probably recognize, and it'll be interesting to talk about. I will leave you, of course, with the tagline, which should tell you exactly the kind of movie we'll be watching. Their greatest battle would be for her love.
Okay. Yep. No, I know where it's going.
Yeah. So that's the vibe of this. It's a very sweeping romance movie.
Okay.
From the director of Ghost comes First Night.
Oh, jeez. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, it's yeah. Yeah. Like I said, I remember liking it, but I haven't seen it in 20 plus years probably.
Yeah, that'll be interesting.
Yeah, I have no idea. I'm sure I'll still like Connery. Because Connery's King Arthur, that's like the reason to watch, I think, for most people. And you're like, ooh, Connery plays Arthur.
I'm sure that was a huge draw for people.
Absolutely. So, we'll check that out next week on the show. Of course, if you want to hear more from us, you can head over to our Patreon page, which is patreon.com/punchupent. That's punchupent. Get cool exclusive bonus content from all the shows on the Punch Up Entertainment Network. As well as help support us in making future shows. We're also on YouTube, which is youtube.com/@punchupentertainment. You can watch, you can listen to all of our podcasts there. You can also watch some of our exclusive video content, of which there is going to be more coming from, including with Kinsey on our YouTube channel, video content coming your way in 2026. So check that out. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe, ring that bell for notifications. Never miss an episode. But that is going to do it for this week's episode. Until next week, the case file is closed.